What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at Andrew Marlowe Artist Official. Please send me an email at andrewmarlowe22@gmail.com if you have questions about books or any of my older videos. And let's keep our fingers crossed that we don't get interrupted by a lawnmower. So it's been a few weeks. We haven't been dormant. We've been doing tons of reading, but just the reading has been taking up so much time. And in this video, I don't have any books that I've finished to really review or talk about yet, but we're just going to kind of do a little quick review of all the stuff that I'm reading, just to kind of update you guys. And I will say that if anybody wants to pick up any of these books and kind of read them along with me, that would be cool. If you don't have to read them at the same pace that I'm reading them, but if any of them spark your interest, especially the sort of the occult horror for Halloween, I would love to get somebody else reading that with me so we can kind of make it a little more interactive by the time we get to the end of October and stuff. I'm trying to take my time with these books, especially the Halloween ones, because it is so early, but I'm kind of just blowing through all of this. So we're going to start with just a little quick update on the origin of species. We're still getting through this. I've been slacking on it a little bit though the past week. We're on page 160, so we've knocked out a good little chunk. But honestly, it's a bit of a struggle. It's a little bit boring. It's very scientific. It's not like reading a biology book per se, but it is very, heavily based on the scientific ideas and scholarship of evolution, and things like natural selection, biology, stuff like that. How species sort of, how they succeed and how they don't succeed so well in their natural environment, or sort of the way that they coalesce with other species. So far it's not really what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit more about evolution and humans and primates and maybe Neanderthals or Cro-Magnon or something. Maybe he'll get to that eventually, but so far Origin of Species is definitely not my most thrilling read, but I do think it's rewarding. I think it's interesting. I think, as we kind of move through it, we're kind of getting not anywhere near the halfway point, but I'm sure it's going to get a little more, sort of, it's going to pertain a little more to what Darwin is known for, like evolution and talking about the history of mankind and stuff, I hope. But maybe the Origin of Species is more associated with animals. He talks a lot about birds and stuff like that in here, and sort of how farmers and sort of throughout the history of mankind, how they sort of were able to manipulate agriculture and stuff, as animal agriculture, to sort of breed better species, more efficient animals and stuff like that. But overall, just not really that exciting of a read. So up next, we did start Shirley Jackson, The Haunting of Hill House, and this was originally on the sort of the reading list to get some more women authors under our belt. So we've kind of been doing that, but it also fits in with the Halloween occult horror. This is a great place to start with sort of horror, occult type stuff. Lots of different, really interesting rabbit holes we're going to go down in here. And I do plan on doing some type of live stream or really long video for the Halloween season. And we're almost halfway through this already, as you can see. Knocked out about almost 50 pages of this. And the story is pretty easy to follow. There's like 4 main characters, and they basically all meet up at a haunted house for various different reasons. And there's one sort of main character called Dr. Montague, who is sort of like the guy that is sort of hosting this whole escapade at the Hill House. So some of you guys might have seen the movie, but I would definitely recommend reading the book, and we're going to kind of get through this probably fairly quickly, and I might actually do a reread, because I think we'll probably be done with this maybe within the next 3 to 4 weeks, maybe even sooner. It's really easy to read. It's not that long. It's only like less than 200 pages. It just flies by really nice. It's really easy to read. But having said that, there's a lot of underlying themes and different things you have to kind of keep in your peripheral. You should definitely be, annotating, highlighting, all that good stuff to make sure you're kind of sucking the marrow out of the text and sort of the prose so you can know what's going on. So up thirdly, my nose is itching real bad. I apologize. Up thirdly, we have The Entity by Frank De Felitta. Now, this is probably my top book of the season. as far as the books that we're reading. In addition to Thomas Wolfe, of course, because I love Thomas Wolfe. But this book by Dave Fileta called The Entity is just brilliant. We talked a little bit about it before, and I think what's most interesting about this is that the subject matter is very harrowing, I guess you could say, very, very intense, horrific subject matter. But the way that Frank De Fileta makes you sympathize with Carlotta Moran, the main character, is just really beautiful and brilliant. He is a masculine, he's a male writer, obviously, but the way he's able to get into the psychology of his main female protagonist is really just brilliant. This is probably one of my most heavily annotated books, maybe ever. There's some spots not so well annotated, but definitely, I'm definitely really sucking the marrow out of this text. Lots of occult themes, lots of sort of themes about psychology and abuse, trauma, and obviously that's only one part of it. We also have sort of the occult, paranormal type stuff too that definitely comes up. So I'm really interested to see where this is going to go, how similar it is to the movie. I'm definitely going to order another copy of the movie and watch it before Halloween so we can do the live stream of The Entity. This is going to be really great. I think you guys should definitely read this if you haven't. We hear a lot about Edgar Allan Poe or Stephen King and stuff like that, but Frank De Fileta kind of fell off of the radar here. But he's actually a wonderful author, and I actually enjoy him much better than I do Stephen King so far. But we will be reading some Stephen King again at some point, just to kind of keep up with the horror themes, occult stuff. So that's basically my little quick review, touching base on The Entity. So we'll kind of move on to King Lear. Yes, we've been gotten a little over halfway through. Show you where we're at here. We're about this far into King Lear, so we've only got a little bit of Act 4, and then we're going to blow out Act 5, and then we'll be done with King Lear. So I probably will do a full review of King Lear, but having said that, Shakespeare is not an easy author to analyze or really review. But the overall story of King Lear is fairly simple. It's fairly easy to understand. Basically, all you need to know is King Lear is basically, you have the sort of political, military espionage, right, of King Lear. But he's basically trying to see, out of the 4 daughters, or the 3 daughters that he has, he's basically trying to see which one of them is most loyal to him. So he basically attempts to get them to profess their loyalty to him, or their love for him rather, and it pretty much goes sour. And we have banishings and murders and espionage and secret letters being passed back and forth. But what we also deal with in King Lear is sort of the aspect of paganism, right? These people are sort of, not sort of, they're following pagan beliefs. There's not really any references to Christianity in here. So this is sort of a homage, I guess you could say, to sort of the old pagan druid cultures, I guess you might say, of the British Isles and England and stuff like that, Britain, and sort of the way that they justify their pagan beliefs, their chaotic pagan beliefs, in the context of sort of the psychosis and the mental unraveling of King Lear that takes place. But we also have a lot of other references to other texts that were sort of floating around at that time. We have sort of the element of we mentioned the whole thing with paganism, but we also have this element of nature and how it sort of implements itself into the the prose of Shakespeare, especially when King Lear sort of starts wandering out in the wilderness with a fool. And I don't want to give you guys a full plot summary right now or give any spoilers, because we will probably have to do a rereading, and then we'll probably start to try to attempt to extrapolate some of the deeper themes and the darker themes of King Lear. So I definitely encourage you guys to pick up Shakespeare. It is sort of an acquired taste, and it's like I always say, Shakespeare, to me, is kind of like solving a puzzle, and you kind of have to put the pieces together and read other synopsises, read other people's analysis and stuff like that, sort of to sort of form your own. But there's a lot here that you can understand quite well. Obviously, you're not going to understand all of it, but it's definitely worth the read. King Lear is probably one of my favorite Shakespeare plays that we've read so far. So up next we have O Lost by Thomas Wolfe. Guys, as you guys are aware, we've been kind of working through O Lost for quite some time, maybe 2 or 3 months now. Really just taking our time. And we're on page 463. And it's just getting better and better and better. I could read some of our annotations here, but I'll probably save that for my next Thomas Wolfe video. I do have some other videos, topical videos about authors that I'm going to share with you guys in the coming months. Like I said, we've been kind of bogged down with a lot of reading, and we've got some different things in the works. We've got Thomas Wolfe, we've got Shakespeare, we've got Origin of Species, and obviously we've got the fall occult horror type stuff that we're getting under our belt too. So that's going to be kind of the most exciting thing for me probably is definitely the entity right now. I'm just really excited about this text, really excited to talk about it. Tell you guys the whole story behind it, the whole psyop that sort of existed around it. Was it a psyop? What was actually going on there with the entity? That'll kind of fit in with the Haunting of Hill House as well. We'll kind of talk about what horror, the different tools and the different ways that horror writers sort of implement the occult in their writing and in their prose. And then, like I said, we have King Lear. We'll definitely be doing a deeper analysis of that, but I don't want to start blabbering about King Lear before I really attempt to really understand it, really take my time with it. Then we have Thomas Wolfe, and then we have Origin of Species, which is kind of slowly floating in the outer orbit of my reading, but we're going to try to keep with it. And like I said, we're still reading the Bible. We're getting through the Old Testament. We're about halfway through Exodus right now, reading about the Egyptians and their struggles with God, and of course, the Israelites, and how the Egyptians were unable to appease God and all that stuff, and how God was trying to get them to show him their loyalty. Wanted to see how loyal the Egyptians were and try to implement sort of the Jewish customs upon the Egyptians, but there was a lot of resistance there. So we're kind of getting through some of those topics, and we're also reading a giant anthology of Alfred Lord Tennyson poems, which I haven't read the last couple of days, but we're still kind of getting through that. But as far as the main meat and potatoes of what we're kind of working with right now, it's definitely these four right here: Thomas Wolfe, King Lear, Shakespeare, Frank De Felitta, and Shirley Jackson. So that's kind of a reading update. Hopefully by the next time around, we'll maybe have King Lear knocked out, I would assume. And we might even have one of these. I'm going to try to take my time with this. I don't want to read this too fast. That's why I always take a break every couple days. But we're already on page 151. So I'm going to try to just kind of attempt to slow down a little bit the next couple of weeks, because we still got the rest of September and all of October. So I don't want to be too laxed with myself, but I don't want to just rush through it, because by the time we get to the Halloween holiday videos and live streams, I want to kind of have it fresh in my mind. So, and I'm probably going to have to slow down a little bit with this too, because I'm blowing through this. And I might actually pick up some other books in the meantime, just to get some other things started. But I think King Lear and O Lost are definitely will give me enough to kind of work with outside of the sort of the occult horror. So, and King Lear obviously fits in with the occult stuff. Shakespeare is known for his thinly veiled occult references and stuff like that. We've got some really interesting occult stuff that we're going to get into with King Lear when the time comes. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you guys please like and share and comment on this video. Let me know what you think about the books that we're reading. How do you curate your seasonal readings? And please let me know what you're planning on reading over the next couple of months. So we'll talk to you guys very soon.